So let me say no to push. Let me say no to
Sierra Leone, push. You're my killer, this is for you them. Hope for you, say.
This ain't not a kush. No, not a kush. No, not a kush. Oh yeah, yeah, you feel what are they on me eye? We are the see me sister them, they die in the street. Oh, me I can feel them. When they see me brother them in the streets, yeah. Some they link they not, some lay down a guts at the sleep. Oh. So when I ask them, tell me say na kush, Nike pull roll and son of them food. They prefer for left the house, they gonna get so all day they kush. Oh yeah, say not a kush. Me brother don't want before in time. Say not a kush. So we they use the knowledge my youngest. Say not a kush. Youth them just they die. Say not a kush. Sorry Salone.
We fumble them on a good evening. I hope say any also on a I hope say on they do well. I hope say life is treating you good. Life has treated you well. Today again we can also for can talk about things them way they happen now with society. But like I promised on last week Saturday, today like ever so often I take a pause from politics and I talk about other issues within the community, within the society. Sometimes it could be an issue maybe where predominant, say maybe in England, within the community in England, and it needs to be sorted out. Sometimes it might be issue maybe where predominant, maybe South Nayana, Canada, or America, or Holland, or Kuwait, or Lebanon, you name it. For as long as una don't they follow me, and for as long as we don't they do this show, una know for say there are times when I'll completely break away from politics and anything to do with politics, and I look within the community or the structure of the community and try to bring different forms of help, or try to promote different forms of businesses. I started doing more of that after, we've been to get a show in at the business show. And I remember for people them we newly set up them businesses them, or one for set up them businesses them, and that show was a very successful show. Unfortunately, the person who been they run that show, they got so busy that now you're not able to continue the show. I think for the past 3 years, if I'm not mistaken, if you go back, you can look at the evidence are there to show it, that I did bring people in Canada show, sometimes announced, sometimes unannounced, and then we can deviate from the craziness the craziness of the political structure in Mama Salone, and just talk about other issues. Then there was a time when I completely deviate from politics and we talk about, when I remember Orange the World, very big show I get with different NGOs then where they operate inside Salone. I had at the time when I remember say we can get the vice president, because the president was on assignment, so therefore the vice president of lawyers Sierra Leone. We get another show where they talk about domestic violence, especially in the season, during the season of the pandemic, right? We get the Girl Child Network International, the President Nayaso, right? Madam Anita Kuruma, We may also get the director of Rainbow Society in Sierra Leone, the organization where they rescue, abused and battered women and girls. Them at one point, as the need arise, we get, Dr. Sovi, when at the, a lawyer for international migration and labor law, for can tell because a lot of Sierra Leoneans them were affected by this, right? When they left the country, try for go find, them better one, and then they are being meted or something, bad is being meted upon them. So we try for sort that out. And I remember the crisis Lebanon, the Lebanon crisis where, our brothers and sisters were stuck in Lebanon. I intervened back, talk about that. The presidency took action and brought all of those, girls. Kuwait, same thing. There was a crisis, immigration crisis in America at one point where the American government changed, their laws. We brought in people like, our own residents, one of our own resident lawyer here, lawyer Shilon. We bring in, lawyer Iskandri, who is a well-known, immigration lawyer, because in America, the problem in the happen, these people are based in America. We bring them in for help, can't help with people them. We brought in people like, a policy, because na Salone, we know get the expertise them, we know about constitutional law and how to write policies, then they die off. We bring in somebody when a in an area of expertise. As a matter of fact, I think he should have finished his PhD by now, because at the time he was in the US doing his PhD. Lawyer Sori Koroma, I brought him into this platform to talk about his work, talk about his law practice, talk about what he does, and how the community or people who are in need or wanting these services can reach out. We talk about so many other different things then. There was one point, I get the entire, the parliament representative of the different political structures then, the parliamentarian representative then, for can sit down with we and for can talk with we. People say, Matilda, how do you do it? I'm like, you have to have a balance in life. In everything, you have to have a balance. You need to know when to collaborate. You need to know when to go hard and speak the truth. You also need to know when to pipe down and allow a space for collaboration and acceptance. This kush business today, I know say me obviously I know for say me na a person of my word. If I don't talk something, no matter what happens, I will make good on my promise and I will deliver. I know say behind the scenes, most of una way they watch, una don't interact with me about immigration law in Canada. Sometimes I send you to people that I know, right? And say, go talk to this person, go see this person, do this person, whatever. In the case of them, Bobo them women, they try for, do a temple run that were arrested in Guinea. We intervened, spoke to the authorities, and by the time you know it, the vice president, together with the person where we talked to Nyaso, lawyer Sovi, they were in Guinea. Next thing you know, these people were released. Nyaso Bakun have been there when I intervene, as well as the need arises for the Sierra Leonean students stranded in Guam, China, during the COVID. And I know how that intervention they happen. I'm happy and glad that all of these students are now graduates. Some of them have started their own personal businesses. Others have gone on to become lawyers. Others have gone on to become doctors doing their residency. So all this to say is that in as much as I talk about politics and I go hard, I know how to make the separation when it comes to talking about other things that affects the society, when it comes to the need. Those who know me will know that I'm a quiet giant. Where I did network, I do my network here, I do network there, try to connect with people so that when the need arises, the needful is done. Today, unfortunately or fortunately, as the program progresses, I'm not going to be speaking Creole because of the need, right? Una know for say me, I am very intentional and I'm very calculative as to when I bring people on the show and how I bring people on my show. Today there was supposed to be someone way don't Canada show. She was on the show 3 years ago when she first launched her business. And I go remind on her smiling through light. That business was focused on energy efficiency, energy creation, right? I'm happy to say that she is thriving. She is doing fantastically well. As a matter of fact, she was supposed to be part of the show. But because of time difference, she is currently in Rwanda attending the International Energy Transformation Conference taking place in Rwanda. So because of that, she couldn't join us today. And she was devastated. And I said to her, no. You know I will always make good on my promise. When you come back after the conference, trust me, when the time is right, I will create the space for us to have that conversation. Because that is a conversation that is not for the diaspora, but that includes the diaspora, right? That is a conversation for the people back home because they need energy, they need spaces, opportunities, and for know how to get energy, especially in the situation where we find ourselves not to so. And the good thing she's doing, she's also training other women in this field. So I am extremely proud of this lady. I'm extremely proud of how far she's come. I can't wait to share her journey from the first time you people saw her here and when she started to 3 years on where she is now. Another person that was supposed to have been on the show, but duty calls, and me when duty calls, I do not interfere with that. That person, some of you in the community might know her. She lives in America, Aisha Koroma, the CEO and founder of the AK Wellness Center. You people are familiar with her journey, how she took, a sabbatical from a very high paying job to take care of her mental health, to take care of herself. So for 1 year, she traveled the world, interacting with different immigrant communities around the world. And when she came back, when she was fully restored, she came back and, joined. Sorry, I seemed distracted because there was someone else that was supposed to join. She was busy, but I just came on and now she's texting me saying that, yes, Matilda, I can join the program, but I can't stop the program to talk to her and tell her how to come onto the program. And this person, maybe while our guest that we have right here, right now is speaking, maybe I will take a pause and go behind the scenes and get her to log into the show. This person is no less a person you people know her from Girl Child's Network International, who left her career in England for years, went back home, set up a structure back home for our girls, for our women. And I'm so proud of her work, and every time I get the opportunity to showcase her work, I do so. So I've been just want to tell you now why I seem distracted a little bit right now. The other person will be so now. So Aisha would have come on the show, but I am happy we decided for her not to come on the show today because of how deep, how pertinent, how time sensitive the conversation is about mental health. Yeah. So Aisha and I, after having a long conversation, we decided to have a special segment to really, really go into things because she's a professional. She's worked in that milieu, for years. Like when they say someone who's worth their salt know what they are doing, I'm talking in the ranks like the people like, the current mental health advisor to Sierra Leone, Dr. Carol Labor, who I'm going to reach out to as a matter of fact and see if her schedule permits her when we have Aisha on the show for her to also be on the show, because then she would be talking to us and giving us insight about the efforts the government is making. Because remember, she is as a matter of, she's the first and only advisor ever existed in Sierra Leone, advisor to mental health, to the presidency. So I can't wait. I know her work and I know her journey as well. So I can't wait to be in contact with Dr. Carol Labor for that conversation together with Aisha. But guess what happened as well? Someone else that would have graced this platform, but again, because of the engagement she's in and the time difference, she's currently in Sierra Leone hosting the West African Gynecological Association. Una know for say surgeons. Una know for say Salone no been gets ever gets them kind thing, and she has really pioneered. She is the founder of the Mama Pikin Foundation. She has really worked and pioneered so that we can minimize the death rates of our women, going into labor, and of our infants dying. And Dr. Fatou Fona Sise, very well known within the community, especially in the United States, Sierra Leone, and all over the world. As you guys know, she is a WHO consultant, World Health Organization consultant. And the beautiful thing that she did in that space is to make space to work for the country that she called home, Sierra Leone. And Dr. Fatou Fona Sise will also be here at some point. Because of the kind work them way then they do, I personally felt that I could not lump them into this conversation that we are having today. It is a conversation that needed the time and space so that we can sip and drink as a community, so that we can know the resources available to us, so that we can know the people that we can approach and they will understand us from not only the milieu, the environment that we happen to find ourselves, but also from a cultural lens, because they understand that side of things, they understand this side of things, they are better positioned to help. Yeah? So today is not one of the most popular shows that we are going to be having. And when I say not one of the most popular shows, because you guys, you like it when I talk hard, when I talk politics, when I talk hard politics. But I have always said on that platform, do not always constantly expect this from me. And many times I have deviated, many times I have proven that. And today is one of that day. Today we are going to talk about financial well-being. I don't bring topic into the show that I have not seen the need for. Remember, there is what I say out here, and there is the conversation that I have closed doors behind the scenes with people And there's the conversation that people reach out to me with many a times, because my privacy is my privacy. I may not engage, but doesn't mean that I do not read your messages. I do not think about solutions to what you are asking. I may not always give you the solutions right there, but what I've always strived to do is to create a platform where maybe, just maybe, you would find a solution. And today, I bring to you no less a person than someone that I have actually known for over 15 years. Yes, I know. When I say over 15 years, I know some of you now will start calculating my age. How old is she again if she's known this person for 15 years, blah, blah, blah. I know how it works. It's okay. We met at grad school, and we became very, very special to each other. She is from the corporate world, whereas I dabbled in the NGO world, and then now in the government space. She is Madam Rumbidzai Vere. She is a licensed agent, but above that, she is a senior manager corporate services. For those of you who live in Canada and knows about a corporation called Hill and Knowlton, you know that that is the biggest PR firm in Canada that represents the world over. They have several offices and several headquarters around the world. So maybe, just maybe, some of you watching here might have interacted with her, seen some of her work, but never knew that that was the person behind the work. So today I present you the face, behind Hill and Knowlton Senior Corporation Services. I'll give you a quick bio of Madam. For short, her name is Ru. I know that I introduced her as Run Bidzai because that is her full name, but for short, you can call her Ru. And if you are in Canada, this is really for our diasporans in Canada, having seen the need. The space had to be right, the time had to be right for us to engage. People are saying, thank you, Matilda. God bless you, Matilda. Thank you for doing this. No, it is my job. I am about community. To know me is to know that I am about community. And whenever I see an opportunity to help, I help. If I do not see the opportunity, I do not see it. But when I see the opportunity, that is always my number one goal. They say in life, you have to know what you are created for. And I am one such person that I know what I am created for. My purpose on this earth is to be of service to others. And that's what I've always done. So with over a decade of corporate expertise, Miss Ru Vere brings a wealth of knowledge to our discussion. Having made a way up the corporate ladder to senior management, Ru has made the decision to work on building our own business in the financial services sector. As she embarks on an entrepreneurial journey, Ru's passion lies in empowering the Black immigrant community in Canada. Her new business venture aims to equip immigrant households across Canada with essential tools for fostering economic resilience. This is a message that I will not stop sharing. This is a message that I will not stop talking about, because a pandemic happened, and that pandemic left us exposed. Not only in Canada, This is an expertise that I'm bringing in from Canada. Oh, but you know me. I will sort out those expertise from the US. I will sort them out from England. I will sort them out from every other space that we have dominant migrant communities. You people know that. I will not stop. The community here in Canada, especially the communities within West Africa, let me be very precise, an exposure was seen. An exposure was witnessed. And that is an exposure that we could prevent. It only takes tact, planning, having the right structures in place. So without wasting much time, I want to bring to you or introduce you Miss Vera. Miss Vera, please say hello to our audience and and also tell them a little bit about yourself as we get into this very pertinent conversation.
Thank you, Matilda. Hello, everyone. I hope I'm speaking loud okay. I tend to talk inside with my inside voice, so hopefully everyone can hear me okay. I would just like to say thank you, first of all, for allowing me into your space, into this very intimate space, to talk about things that are not easy to talk about, for the most part. So, as Matilda mentioned, my name is Rumbidzai Ruvere. I am originally from Zimbabwe. So I'm originally from Zimbabwe, and I made my way to Canada for school as a teenager, and I've grown into my adulthood here in Canada. I transitioned from being a student into the work life, into married life, into being a mother here in Canada. So my adulthood has basically been spent here. And I have found over the course of time that Canada is a good place to call home, but a lot of difficulty that people face in not having their roots here and having their roots outside of Canada is that we sometimes face a disadvantage in the amount of knowledge that we have to just navigate through life and to go through life here. As you transition into your first job as an adult, as for planning your finances, how to move your family along, how to get your children through school, how to plan for your retirement. Most of us have plans, maybe moving back home. Also, we still also have heavy responsibilities at home for most of us. The expectation is that, we carry on our lives here, but we also help out at home. So there's a heavy, heavy burden on us. And it's true, there's a lot of opportunity here in this country. But I feel that to maximize it, we are at a disadvantage in that there's certain levels of knowledge, certain things that we get to learn along the way, which if that information
Technical
is
room, can
presented to us
you hear her?
at
I
the
don't
beginning
think we
of
can
these
hear her.
journeys, our levels of success can be so much better and we can achieve so much more, and we don't have to struggle as much as we do to move ahead in life. So Matilda isn't back yet, but I can give you a little bit more context about myself and my journey. When I left school, as I mentioned before, I settled. It was very, very difficult for me to find a job. I had done 3 degrees here in Canada, but of course, without the network, a lot of about how you make your way here in this country is about your network. I ended up landing a job even though I had a master's degree. My first position in the company that I'm working at right now was executive assistant. And I've managed to find a lot of allies. I managed to find a lot of people who believed in me, who carried me through. I grew from strength to strength. I for a very long time, I was the only person of color in our local office. And, it didn't really, this is in an industry that's very dominated by people who have very strong networks to make it in the public relations industry, which is where my firm is located. So, with all of that being said, there were things that if I wish I'd known from the beginning about how to save money and what to do with my money, even while I was building myself up, I thought I had to have a lot of money to be able to save money. And there was a lot of things and a lot of decisions that I made that were not very smart, because at the end of the day, I ended up finding myself divorced. I am now a single mother. I don't have any savings to my name, and I've had to start building my life up from scratch. So over time, with things that have happened in my career, and with the knowledge that I've gained through accidental meetings with people, I decided that, if I need to empower myself to be able to move myself out of my situation and move myself forward. And as a lot of people say, when you educate a woman, you educate her family, and then you educate the community. And that is what I'm all about. I found that even though, apart from the divorce and having to start my life back up from scratch, there's also the fact that, I've worked so hard to build myself up. I've hit senior management level, where I am at the moment. I'm making more money than I ever have in my life, but just because of the situation that we are in here in Canada, it's very difficult for a lot of us to make ends meet. There's not a lot of there's not a lot of room for much else. It doesn't make sense that people are making a lot of money but can't afford the day-to-day things. It also doesn't make sense, that, we're so exposed, like Matilda said, to any shocks to our system. How many times have GoFundMe funds have to be set up when something happens, when tragedy hits, and all that kind of stuff? It's just, a cycle that keeps on going. But I have found that there's a way out of situations like this. And that way comes through, knowledge about how to manage your money, how to make plans, so that when the worst that you can imagine happens, you can still take care of your things and you can still be okay. So which is where I'm headed now. I found that I'm not getting as much as I would like to get out of my career. I'm very disconnected from what I'm doing. It's not I'm not making an impact, a direct impact on my community or the people around me, which is what I believe life is about. I'm in my midlife now. I feel like with everything, with all the work that I've put into the corporate sector, there has to be something to show for it. But there hasn't really been anything to show for that, apart from the fact that I just make more money, but the math isn't mathing. And I feel that if we're all honest, the more you talk to people about where they are in life, you'll find that we're all in the same struggle. But I've also found that things don't have to be that way at all. And so now I've found a new purpose and a new mission to make sure that everyone in my community knows that things don't have to be this way. And we'll have our struggles, but the struggles shouldn't be how to get information to make our lives better. The struggle should just be how do we make things work within the system to keep moving forward, so that we're not floored by life's ups and downs. So I hope that kind of covers a lot
Yes,
of what I'm
yes,
trying to.
no,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you very much for being so open for and I always tell people when I'm in this type of situation, I like to be to people to come very naked. Be if you have to be vulnerable. If you don't have to be vulnerable, you don't need to, depending on where you are in life, depending on what you're bringing into the table, onto the table, depending on what conversations we're having. this is a conversation that hits different parts, especially for women, right? Especially for women. I'm not saying that men do not go through these struggles. They do go through these struggles. As a matter of fact, during these COVID periods, I got exposed to quite a number of men who, were going through these struggles. And you know what? It will shock you to know that they were within our community. And when I say within our community, I'm not speaking the African community. I'm saying within the Sierra Leonean community. People that I speak to personally, people that contacted me personally, that Matilda, this is what I'm facing. Some of them were immigration issues. Some of them were deportation issues. Of them were labor issues. So like I can name a plethora of things that behind the scenes I would handle, or I would look for solutions. I would say, oh, you know what? I know this person. Let me put you in contact with this person. Maybe, just maybe, they might be able to help you. Or I know this person. Or I know this service. Recently, I was fortunate to have been invited to a 10-year celebration of an organization for which I was part of the inception. Worked very hard to have it establish its feet within Ottawa and, and the broader, neighboring of Ottawa. And I am very happy to say 10 years on, this organization is standing, it's thriving. As a matter of fact, now this organization trains people, absorbs young people, train them in different vocational training within the community. We're able to secure grants from the government, the person behind the organization, was recognized by Canada, the Prime Minister, as, amongst one of the 100 most influential people in Canada. And it makes me happy. It makes me really, really happy. And she's a Sierra Leonean. And when she started to get a Sierra Leonean to back her, to be with her, to labor the labor with her, it was tough. There were times when I'll leave everything I have to do and be on the streets, be on the road with her on the weekends, doing stuff, going to different places. I'll leave my husband at home. And thank God I am married to someone who is very supportive, who knows my heart, who knows that this is what I'm about. I'm about helping people. I'm about, helping bring together as much as I can. And when the time permits me, I will do whatever I can. So I was doing sales, I was going to free market sales with that individual, going to different, trade fairs. We'll go from morning to night, going to different places. But now, when I see 10 years on, I haven't been active in that organization, say in the last four years or so, or 5 years. But I keep abreast, and they keep me abreast with everything that they're doing. And at the 10th anniversary, I had to stop everything I was doing and be there. And while I was there, she's like, listen, I'm standing today, but there were giants behind me whose name you do not hear. Maybe you see them, they're walking slowly, but I am proud because you know what? Some of us, like somebody once said, we might not be the king, but we are part of the king making. And this is me. I don't always like my name to be out there, but I like to see success. Like I said, during the pandemic, a lot of people were exposed in our community. I would not tell you the conversations I went into, the shock that I received for some of the things that were going on with people in the community. And so I sat back. And so when who told me that this has been tugging and pulling at her heartstrings for a while now, this is a woman that makes over 6 figures. Let me be honest with you people right now. But we also know that 6 figure means nothing, just like me speaking here as well. Let me be honest with you all. I make over 6 figure. But I find myself in a society where I have to make the rest of what the government gives me of that six-figure works for me, right? Because a good chunk of it goes to taxes. So whatever is left, that's why I say whatever the government decides to give me, right? I don't determine it. But whatever they decide to give me, I need to make it work and work for me. I don't have to always continue working so hard, right? And paying taxes and not seeing the dividends of what I labor for. So I have to find avenues created within the structure to make whatever I have work for me. But how do I know of those avenues if I'm not exposed to them? Because remember, when we come in as immigrants, most of us were not born here. Even our kids that were born here, because we are not educated in those structures, most of our kids ends up also not being educated in those structures. So the mistake that maybe our parents made, we should not also make these mistakes. We should now seize the opportunity, seize our exposure, our knowledge, our education, and make it work for our communities. And when we have knowledge, we cannot keep it to ourselves. We have to make it work for us. So I thank you very much, Ru, for your vulnerability. I thank you for how open and how honest you were with us. So you've talked about the struggles, you talked about, what brought you to this space. Now, I would like to know what would inspire you. What's your inspiration moving forward? And how do you hope to use that inspiration to galvanize what you need to move others forward?
Okay. Thanks, Matilda. My inspiration, I think, is the fact that we can move forward and we can make things work for us. What inspires me is the level. Okay, I'll take that back. Is the level of knowledge that I've gained. That it is very, very, very simple things that can make a difference between someone having, money to cover somebody's funeral, or money to cover somebody's education, or money to retire. That it's not that big of a jump, and it's not very complicated at all to have all of those things lined up so that you don't find yourself in difficult situations. So so that's the inspiration. That is not rocket science. It's very, very simple steps, and it's information that's available out there, but it's the way that it's not packaged together. And I've been able to find a space and a group of people who know how, and to become a group of people who know how to package that information into very small bits and very digestible steps that anyone can take at any level you are in your life. For me, I think that was the mind-blowing aspect of it. I felt that there was so much that I needed to know first before being able to get myself into a better financial position, but that is not true. It is as simple as one meeting with the right person, and that's what hurts me the most. That this conversation isn't being held on a wider level, and that this conversation is kind of held by a few, but getting that information out and making sure that the information gets to the right people so that everyone has it is what the stumbling block is. So for me, what inspires me is the level of access that I now have to the information, that I now have to the tools that will help move people along and help move my community forward. And I feel as long as the word is getting out there, and as long as that is happening, there's no stopping us. There's really no stopping us. So that's what I'm excited about the most. It's not rocket science. It's very, very simple.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think our other guests should be in the studios now with us. I think, and our other guest should be in the studios now with us. I'm just going to ask my technical person to watch out. They just sent me a message to say they are in the back waiting to be pulled in. So let's try and get the other person to join us so that we can flourish this conversation and deepen it even more, because I'm pretty sure this person coming on would have a story or two of her own, even from a different country, but I'm pretty sure the stories are alike. I like what you said about, when something happens, that's not when now people are rushing to GoFundMe and
Mm-hmm.
all of these, crowdfunding mechanism
Mm-hmm.
in order to put two and two together to save the day, because that's what's exactly what ends up happening. People are in situations where at the end of the day, like, oh, this person is sick, this person has this person, unfortunately, this person is dead. And it's always a crowdfunding situation. Let's crowdfund, let's rally together. Yes, we do come from a society where when one is hurt, everyone is hurt. And that is our nature, and we would not depart from that. But however, the environment where we find ourselves, it is so tasking, it's so demanding that if we can ease the burden a little bit by making the right decisions, setting up the right structures ahead, I think it would help. As we wait for our guests to be projected forward, our other guests to be projected forward, I would like to ask, how can how can you be reached should someone require this type of help that you have spoken about, someone learning or wanting to know financial discipline, the different mechanism, structures allowed, legally allowed, because nothing here is an illegal act, legally allowed within the structures we find ourselves to set
Yes.
up themselves so that they are able to be in a space that they are at least can sleep with reassurance at night, if I should put it that way.
Yes, I'm going to make available my business contact information to you, Matilda, for you to share with anyone who's interested in sitting down with myself and the team that I'm a part of. And I can rest assured, I would like to give everybody the assurance that whoever reaches out to us, it's something that is done in a very tactful, like considerate way. These conversations are conversations that I had, that we have one on one with you. I'm looking at every conversation that we're going to have with anyone who reaches out to me, like with any member of my family. And every situation is unique, but with the access that I have to the tools that we have available, I can make sure that no matter what your situation is, I'll be able to find a solution for you that will work with where you are. Because right now the main problem is that the financial industry is very set up to make you feel like you have to have reached a certain level before they help you, and they even let you
Yeah.
know that if you're not at a certain level, there's nothing we can do for you. But that is very
Mhm.
far from the truth. So yes,
Mhm.
so I can make my contact information available to anyone who wishes to reach out to me, for sure. Thank you, Matilda,
That's
and
good. Do
thank
you
you,
have
everyone.
No, that's fine. Do you have a business line that you would like for us to pin in this conversation as we are having it, so that if there is a business contact, a business number, that way we can pin it to this particular conversation, and that way people can go back, watch the show, have a contact link or an email link that they can use to contact you directly, or again, Many of you have come to me behind the scenes, or many of you also know how to reach out to VOS behind the scenes. Should you be requiring these services, I would highly recommend. And again, remember, this is an off-cuff comment, but me na Creole. I am Creole, which means I don't joke with my money. You cannot play with my money. So you have to have been tried and tested for me to say, yes, I know that your A is your A, your B is your B. And I start sitting here. These group have managed my little peck, peck, peck to the best of their abilities, that even when things were hard, and yes, the interest rates in mortgages were skyrocketing and blah, 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 because of the structures that I have put in place, that my husband and myself have put in place, that they have helped us put in place. Like they would say in our local parlance, no bush shaking. There was no bush shaking. Doesn't mean that you do not get a bit worried, but because of you know what you have done, you know that there is no bush shaking. A lot of people have lost their homes. Some people lost their jobs. Some people downgrade from jobs just because of where they happen to see themselves. So I don't know. Sorry. Just because of where they happen to be. And it is not a fun place to be. It is not an easy place to be. For me, if you can set up structures to cover your family, to move your family away from unsolicited embarrassment, do it. Like she said, the financial industry makes you believe that you have to have reached a certain bracket or be at a certain bracket before you start doing what we will call in our local parlance, maybe osusu. But no, when you meet the right people, you are set up according to your means, because remember the word say, cut your coat according to your size or according to the material that you have. That's the style you will sew. That's basically it. They will help you, guide you, so that your style would accommodate the material that you have. Right? So like I said, for me, this was a very important conversation to have heard. And Ms. Very and I both come from the international, from the so I am getting a message from our guests to say they are in now. I don't know if the technical team can project them forward, please. I am getting a message. This is the second message I'm getting from the second guest saying that they are in now. If they can be projected forward, I would appreciate it, even as we continue with the conversation, because I want to actually hold Miss Very until this person comes, because I feel like there would be a bounce of here. Okay, she just told me I am back in, please. Said in now. That Okay, so let me leave this question with you, even as I try to sort this out, Miss Vera. This year's International Women's Day, or year 2024, the theme is inspire inclusion. To be precise, this is what they said. They said, imagine a gender equal world A world free of bias, stereotypes, and discrimination. A world that's diverse, equitable, and inclusive. A world where difference is valued and celebrated. Together we can forge women's equality. Collectively, we can all inspire inclusion. What do these words mean to you, even as you go into this venture, as you've started this venture, as you hope to broaden it, to widen? What do these words mean to you? Inspire inclusion. I want you to talk
Um,
at it, approach it from obviously from our lens, which is the development lens. I know you've left that world, but once a development, whatever, once a development expert, always a development expert, okay? And that you
yes,
are now in the
definitely.
corporate world, but you're able to bridge the two, even as you transition to another world.
Thanks, Matilda. Actually, I feel the move that I'm making towards this new venture and what I'm going to be doing is actually redirecting myself back to the development field. So it's those words about the inclusion and is very, it goes to the very core of what I'm trying to achieve through my new business. So as we mentioned earlier before, I've had over 10 years of experience in the corporate sector. And for me, it's not a very easy place to be. As a Black woman, an immigrant woman, like I mentioned earlier, I've been very lucky to have had great mentorship, great allyship from the people around me. But as long as I've been in the corporate sector and the moves that I've been able to make and the progress that I've been able to make has all come down to the value that other people see in me, the people who are in a position to move me see in me. It's always so I've had to move along at their pace and at the level and at the pace that they were comfortable with in moving me along. So it meant that I've had to prove myself and so forth and so on to get to where I need to be. And it's something that all of us go through, but we already know, and statistics show that women of color, especially, we're at the bottom rung of everything. I've up until now, before I've decided to make the move to my own business, it's always been getting paid what somebody else decides I'm worth. It doesn't matter how much effort I put into my work in the corporate sector. It all comes down to one person deciding, someone else, and deciding what I am worth. So I believe that this move through my business venture is going to create a more inclusive space, and I'll be the driver of that more inclusive space. I'm going to have the ability to make sure or to help families along. Some of us, we're marginalized from mainstream financial management because of our level of income and the resources that we have on hand. But with the business that I'm doing, all of that is taken away because, as Matilda said, it won't the amount of money that you have to your name. As long as you're making something, there are things that you can do to make sure that you're handling your finances well, so that wherever you are, you're doing the best that you can for wherever you are, and that's what's going to help you move forward. So I see this role as bringing the whole community along with me, and that's why it's very important for me to come out. I'm not the best public speaker, and I'm not the most comfortable person with public speaking, but this is something that is very, very dear to my heart and goes to the core of what I see myself doing, and that's spreading knowledge that will move us as a community further, and that will get us, participating in a much, much bigger way in this economy. No matter how tough it is, we're going to ride through, and I'm going to be part of that wave. So yeah, so it's about empowering women, other women. I have the opportunity to bring other people along with me. The fact that I'm open for business means I can choose whoever I bring on board with me and just grow this whole thing bigger and bigger. I'm not intending to be a one-man show for all of my life. This is just for the rest of my career. This is just my first step. I actually intend on building a business and leaving a legacy. And in building a business, building this business means helping others build the business. And so in that way, I think we'll make great strides forward. So it is more, so I feel like my role is development focused. It's not the kind of development work that I believed I would be doing. It's not with any of the big fancy organizations, but it's one family, one person at a time. And I'm very, very excited about that and very hopeful about that. And I see good things coming from it. We can't hear you, Matilda.
Thank you very much. I just want to notify our technical assistant again to say that our second guest, I don't know what's going on, just spoke to them. They could see us, they could hear us. They are in the studio, but somehow they are not being brought forward because they are in the studio. Just spoke to them. They could see us on camera. They logged in and everything is fine. So I don't know if what the issue is that they are not being able to project forward, because I just spoke to them again and they could really hear us, they could really see us, and I could hear the program as I was speaking to them. Okay, okay, thank you. Let's take a technical break. Thank you.
That's a cushion. Hey, push for die. Say that's a cushion. Papa government help we are. Say that's a cushion. Hey, push for die. Say that's a cushion. Hope for you say, is it on? Na so we say make we drive kush na salone. But we life them.
That is so right, yeah now. What's if they do? When we bother them, they die. Push on down the hill, now them body just they try. So foot at them body, they and now they just they cry. Now we bother them foot so they swell, now why? I don't know if now the chemical or what's in them they put. Best now for avoid them, nothing but the suit. Other food and they for it, come up young kush. We say bring this message so you do work for you.
Every day we they lost it, man, their life because of kush. Yeah, Papa government, NGOs not come so we hate. Yeah, you way they import kush. You know like Salone, no. Now we value we like Dr. Isaac would say.
That's a cushion. Me brother don't want before you time. Say that's a cushion. So we they use the knowledge my youngest. Say that's a cushion. The youths them just they die. Say that's a cushion. Sorry, Salone. We say that's a cushion. Hey, push for die. Say that's a cushion. Papa government help we are. Say that's a cushion. Hey, push for die. Say that's a cushion. Hope for you say.
Papa government, only one day where they bring camp, anyone day where they sell them. Only Papa government jelly. They don't keep letting you then I will learn. Innocent you them me say I will learn. Future leaders them me say I will learn. What they doing? Let's all fight them.
Okay.
So thank you very much, people, for your patience and for staying along with us. So at this point, my technical person, my producer, just don't intimate me that they have a couple of questions for Miss Vera. So I would open up the spot for them to ask their question to our guests. Please go ahead.
Thank you very, very much, Madam Vera and Madam Matilda, for bringing this important guest to VOS. We want to thank you especially for that. Madam Vera, you said a couple of things. I want us to take it a step at a time because in Africa, we do have, even here, when you talk about financial literacy, not many people are financially literate. So that gap is really, really wider in Africa compared to here. But nevertheless, there's still some gap. So I want us to kind of take it a step at a time. And you made mention of the fact that, by the way, people, my name is Abdul. For people that are not familiar with the voice, my name is Abdul. So you made mention of the fact that, yes, you're making big money, but something is still lacking.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about legacy, you talk about inspiration and that type of thing. That's where I want us to
Mm.
focus. So when you
Okay.
said that, what did you actually mean?
Okay. So when I meant that, I'm making the most money that I have ever made in my life, it's just that still, I've realized that unless you know what you're doing with your money, it doesn't really matter how much money you have that you're making. So I'll just backtrack a little. For the past, after my divorce, it was finalized. I left in 2017, and I told myself, I'm going to work as hard as I can to hit a certain income level. And I felt that when I'd hit that income level that I was gunning for, my everything would be okay. I would be able to send money home. I would be able, to save money for my kids' education. I would be able to buy myself a house, that life would be okay. But I've come to a point where, I've fought for that. There were, during the COVID era, my kids barely saw me. I never took a sick day off. Matilda can attest to the fact that I became a workaholic. I was focused on reaching that certain income level and making sure that I hit that income level because that was supposed to be my magic number. And that was the most humbling experience in my life, that when I got there, that magic number didn't turn out to be magic because there were all these other massive problems, like I was waiting to save. I don't have a deposit for a house. So all these things where it just, that's when the reality hit me that I wasn't as smart as I thought I was. I thought there was a magic number, but there really isn't. And that's when people, I started interacting more with people around me, trying to figure out what needed to happen. I started talking more to people on the financial side because there were things that I wanted to put together and things that I wanted to have for my children. And and that's when I was told, and that's when I realized that it wasn't about a magic number, but it was how I was managing finances. And it was a conversation that nobody had had with me. I thought I was doing things right, but I wasn't doing things properly. And that's when I also realized that, there's certain bits of knowledge that are out there, but if you don't know where to find them, or if someone doesn't come out and tell you and package all this information together in a way that, can help you move forward, you're going to be treading water no matter how much you make. So there might be people who are making way less than I am at this moment, but because they put the correct structures in place for their lives and their financial plans and their goals, they're doing way better than I am on all sorts of levels, like net worth and all that kind of stuff. They probably are already in a home and all sorts of things. So knowledge is power. And in terms of the legacy aspect, I've spent, like I said, I went through a workaholic phase where I didn't take any time off, wrecked my body. My kids, I wasn't present for my kids for a whole 2-3 year span while I was on this run to make this magic number. But at the end of it, I hit this, like when I said that the reality hit me, that it wasn't a magic number, but I also realized that I hadn't been building anything of my own, There was nothing that I could point to say that this is what Rumbidzaivere had done. I'd hit midlife and I had nothing to show for it, in spite of 3 degrees, in spite of the level of income I was making. But then, when this whole opportunity for this business venture came up and someone talked to me about it, that's when I realized that, if I build a business, if I do this, I'm working for myself. I can direct my future. The level of effort into what I put into my business is the reward that I'm going to reap. It's not going to be up to somebody else to determine for me what I am worth, how much the time and effort I put into it is worth. It's going to be something, and a business is going to last beyond my lifetime. It's going to be something that goes on forever if I do it properly. So that's where I was coming from, and hopefully that answered part of your question.
Absolutely. And Matilda is here, so I'm not going to take too much of the show. But two things, though, very important. One aspect is, if I understand correctly, knowledge is power. So
Yes,
because you lacked that knowledge to know how to probably invest, and so you don't
exactly.
work as hard as you were working without proper
Hmm.
knowledge as to where to put your,
Exactly.
and then work less and allow your money to work for you a lot more. Um, and the second thing is, even though that is not a magic bullet, you are trying to inspire people out there that honing your own business will give you some amount of control. Is that correct? Is that what I'm reading from your message?
Exactly.
Okay. So again,
Exactly.
I'll pass it on to Matilda. But before I do that, though, given that now you know, with proper knowledge about financing, you would be in a better position regardless of how much you're making. So, what would you tell people out there that are listening the steps, because it would nice to give an example, because with an example people can
Hmm.
relate. So walk us through an example, and you don't have to say it exactly as what you went through, but let's say, for example, if I had known
Mr.
X,
Kagwe, you are
Y,
taking my closing statement away from me.
okay, yeah, yeah, I must apologize for that. But again, given that Africans, we need to break things down, and particularly with an example, it's
Hmm.
always helpful. So, walk us through a realistic example as to how, let's say, if you have a certain amount and you have a certain age, by say retirement, how comfortable you'll be. Just that simple example. And if you want to start up your business without money, but you have the knowledge and where to go and how do you start. So if you can basically give us an example that would showcase that type of knowledge, it will be really, really helpful. So, those are my questions, and I just thought to step in because, I'm familiar with the financial world. But in
Yes.
any case, over to you before I pass it over to Matilda. Thank you very much again for coming.
Thank you, Abdul. And thank you for your questions. So, in terms of a very simple example, giving, without going too in depth into things, is, I was, it's as simple as, making a budget. I didn't even have a plan for when I was going to retire. I didn't have a plan. I didn't know how much I needed to have saved in order to be able to retire and live a comfortable life. And at that point, just for myself. So for me, it all starts with a plan. So if you don't know what you're working towards, there's no way you can you can't drive You can't get into your car and just start your car without knowing what your GPS location is going to be. So that is where everything starts, and that's your foundation for everything. So everything else can be fit into that. The way that you budget, the way that you manage your debt, the way that and it's and then it all flows from that. But the first starting point is knowing how much you need to retire and what age you plan to retire. And a lot of people, the majority of people, don't know what that number is, your financial independence number. If you don't know what your financial independence number you should be talking to someone who can help you figure out what that is, because that is the key to unlocking the steps that you need to take and building the plan that you'll need to put into place to get there, and with people who can show you how that is doable. But in terms of concrete examples of just little bits of knowledge that would help people is how a lot of people got into the housing market, in the boom of the housing market and everything. And the first thing you do with the bank after signing your papers, I haven't got to that point anyway, but I know that you're offered mortgage insurance as the first step, by the bank. And then, so a lot of people probably on this call who own homes and who are paying down mortgages took that mortgage insurance. It seemed really reasonable. But the industry, the banks, what that means, what your mortgage insurance means is that if anything happens to you, and the insurance will cover your mortgage payment. But the missing thing, they don't let you know that with that mortgage insurance, you still pay a certain premium, but the amount of return goes down with the amount of your mortgage. But you could always replace that mortgage insurance. You can get a different type of insurance, which is a life insurance policy, that where you'd pay the premium and the amount that you would get in the event of something going wrong does not go down. That money goes to your family, it doesn't go to your bank. It will cover your mortgage. So it's just very simple things like that, a very simple strategy, changing the type of insurance policy that you have to cover your house payments in the event that something goes wrong with you, and that will probably leave something for your family after your mortgage is paid off, is not an option that people know that they have right off the bat if they don't have certain types of knowledge. Even people who are putting away funds for their kids through RESPs. A lot of people don't know that those funds don't need to sit in a savings account, and that they can be put into investments that will build money and generate more money. While you're saving the same amount of money, it will grow, and it just won't stay it doesn't have to sit in a savings account. So simple things like that, you're putting in the same amount of money, but you're getting more out of it because the money is in investments and not sitting in a savings account. So so you see what I mean? So it's simple things like that if you talk to the right people. And so I'd advise anyone on this call to really take the plunge and try to talk to someone, a financial advisor, a licensed agent. You have my number. There's a whole organization out there of people who are willing to help you to figure all of that out. And and I hope that you do so. I really encourage you to do so. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It's funny when you're talking about savings for kids, the savings and the matching funds that the government gives you and all of that, and how there isn't one way to actually save, but there is a way to actually increase and augment that money for the child. But that is not something that they tell you. Even the banks
Exactly.
that you put the money
Exactly.
in will not tell you that, right? They will
Exactly.
not tell you that, oh, you know
Exactly.
what, this is here, but here is another option that even helps you with this better. That if your kid goes to school, they go to college, you have college fee, but on top of that, if you do this right, you can even have fees to help them pay their masters, or even help put a down payment for a house for them after they graduate. If you do not know the structures and the possibilities that exist, then you're just
Ex-
going. A funny story, even about myself as a student, before I really got exposed and learned about the ins and outs. I had money sitting in my TFSA savings account in the bank. And every month the bank will just send me peanuts as saying, okay, this is,
Mhm.
and I was like, this one. But you know the funny thing, the day I got the knowledge of how to better invest that money, and I took the step to better invest that money, again, I was just doing it as a test case because me, I like to test certain things. So I didn't pull off all
Mhm.
of my money, I just pulled a portion. That's when the bank said to me, oh, we could put this in this interest. And I'm like, my money has been
Yeah.
sitting here for how many years since I was
Yes.
in school? The first question I
Exactly.
asked them was, how long has this existed? They told me. I'm like, when did I put this money in the bank? They told me. I'm like, how long has this money sat with you people? They told me. I'm like, now that I want to take it, that is when you
Mhm.
know that you have a better way of investing it for me.
Exactly.
And well, obviously the Creole and the African in me came out. I'm like, goodbye,
Yeah,
right?
no, and that's the saddest thing is that it's you feel like you're at the mercy of the banks and or the wherever you put your money that you don't they don't make these options available to you or give you access to them, and it's stuff that people stumble on by accident or they figure out somehow, but it shouldn't be that way. So that's my message, is that it shouldn't have to be finding out this way and getting information in bits and pieces. And yeah, we really can and should be doing a lot better as a community. Mhm.
I would really seriously like to apologize to our second guest because honestly, she has tried. She has really tried joining us several times, several times, several times, and for some reason, she's not able to connect. She said she's in the back, she can see us all, she can hear us all, but somehow she's not able. Pardon me? For some reason, she's just not able to connect through so that we can put her on so that you all can see her in the way we are seeing her. We have a caller on the queue, so I will take that call even as we are slowly trickling down to the end of the show. I will take that call. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from, please?
Uh,
Hello?
Hello, viewers. This is Umaru calling from Switzerland.
Hello, Uma.
I've
Thanks
listened
for
to your
calling.
program, even though it makes almost no sense to us here because when you want to purchase a house here, for instance, a family house here costs like $2 million, and they will ask you to give almost 1/3 of the money, and that one will take almost till the kingdom come before you get that type of money. But I'm talking about the investment. Which type of investment are you guys explaining? The investment in the US or Canada or back home? Because I've just heard of investment. I just want to know. And for us here, for you people there, I think it's more easier to buy a house or to mortgage a house than us here. Us here is very expensive. It's almost impossible because if I'm working, I'm making, for instance, $4,000 a month, and you're asking me to pay 1/3 of $2 million for a house. So I think I will never get to that step. But I'm thinking about the Africans that are investing, that used all their energies to build houses in Africa, and they spent most of their life savings to build these houses, and they put these houses into rent. Just imagine if you already spent like $400,000-$500,000 or $200,000-$300,000 to build a house in Africa, and you put into a rent, and that money, you will not recover your money. Even through your lifetime, you will not recover that money because the rentage there is a little bit more difficult to receive, and the interest rate is low. The income that is coming for the house is not that welcoming as what you invested into the house. So what type of message is our guest having for those type of investment and those type of people? And what is the advice, or let me say, what is the advice should we give to this type of people that are investing in back home in Africa? Thank
Okay,
you very
so the
much.
first thing I'm going to say, thank you very much. I'll have the guest answer the question. Maybe you missed the beginning of the show because at the beginning of the show, I clearly stated that this conversation is truly for Canadian. That yes, it will benefit, other people listening, but really it is a Canadian-based organization. These are for the migrants community in Canada, more specifically so because I've had so many different forms of conversation with our people. And when I say our people, I'm speaking of Sierra Leoneans from diverse background, diverse walks of life. I felt like this is a conversation I should bring to the platform for them to know, for them to take advantage of. So this is mainly for people within Canada, because this person she does not operate outside of Canada. She operates within the Canadian structure. And but you asked a very good question, which I think, regardless of where she operates, when it comes to especially people buying homes, investing, building large amounts of homes in back home, thinking that that's their investment when they are constantly working here to support that so-called investment back home. Is that actually an investment? I will let her answer the question.
Okay, well, thanks. Thanks, Matilda. So, for me, I think my main message, and for everyone here, even outside of Canada, is just for I think I would encourage you to try and find a good financial planner, a good advisor, someone you can talk to, and to go seek them out if they don't come to you, and to start asking some tough questions about how your money is working for you and what kind of plan. And so the whole point is for you to at least have a plan. So find someone wherever you are in throughout the world who can help you build your financial plan. So most of it is about having some kind of structure to help you work towards what you need to have happen in your life. And unfortunately, like Matilda said, the specific examples about the kinds of investments that you can do here in Canada is very specific to this location, because I'm only licensed within this location. And even then, the type of investments that we would advise, the only kinds of investments that I'm allowed to advise on are investments that are like local, but it's also, it's only like local stuff, and it would depend on the situation. So it's not so much about giving investment advice through this forum. It's about just imploring you to try to reach out and have someone help you to figure out what you should be doing to make sure that you hit your financial goals. I think that's the most important message that I can get out today, irrespective of where you are located. And yeah, I think that's the most I can say about that.
Thank you very much, Madam Vera. If anyone has any questions, I will, you know, definitely pass them along to you, put them in contact with you. I am myself I must confess that she has done extremely well. Trust me, when I say this, I know the person, that's speaking to you. Like I said, I've known her for over 15 years. When it comes to putting pen on paper, there is no brilliant mind that you can come across. She is stellar at it. Putting pen to paper, stellar. And when I say stellar, there is ban on no one like her that I have met in her field, in her specialty, that knows how to put law together and put pieces and policies together and put acts and whatever together and present it to somebody. But when it comes to public speaking, as she says, she is one
Yes.
of the shyest you would ever come across. So for that alone, I say thank you very much. This for me shows a determination, as a matter of fact. This for me shows how much, because the one thing I can speak of her is when she's into something, she will put 120 plus into it. That's how I known her from school days, work, and everything. So when I see her give it at all, knowing how much she can be reserved in public speaking, I know that she's onto something. And I would definitely have no reservation that I know that people within our community with whom she will have the privilege to work with will definitely, it's not will, I know they are in good hands because I know the person of whom I speak and I know the caliber of the person of whom I speak. So therefore, I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for coming on to VOS, for gracing VOS's platform. And absolutely, I can't wait to have a conversation in the not so near future to see where you've gone from this conversation today to where you will be when next we have the opportunity and the privilege to sit with you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Matilda, and thank you again, everyone. I really, really appreciate your time. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Bye.
So, Salone Issues Show, this was the conversation that we have had today. I really, really want to honestly and seriously apologize to Madam Anita Kuruma, who tried so ardently to join the program today, but for some reason I feel like we are having some technical issues that maybe we are not able to identify on our end, and so therefore that's why despite several attempts made on our end, she was not able to join us. But here is what I can promise you. And you know, with me, my word is my bond. I will promise you that because of the work I know she does, and because of her interest, I strongly believe that that panel composing of Aisha Kuroma from the Mental Health Institute, Dr. Fatufona Sise with the obstetric and gynecology, as well as her background coming in again as a social worker, right? Trained social worker, worked internationally. I think that will make for a fantastic, awesome discussion. I can't wait to have these three women on the panel. I can't wait to see what they've been up to, what they are doing. And as a matter of fact, as I speak, you know, for me, when kudos is to be given, I will give kudos. My kudos today definitely is going to go out to Dr. Fatou Fona Sise, Fona Sise, who this week, you know, led a team of doctors. As you know, she's a consultant for the WHO. She owns her own private practice in the US, as well as, you know, her foundation in Sierra Leone. She's done a fantastic job, and you guys, you know me, when I say a fantastic job, I shout it off the top of the roof. Dr. Fatou Fona Sise, my shout out goes to you today. So today she made a post and I actually reached out to her. We were chatting a little bit. She's like, Sierra Leone hosted the West African College of Surgeons meeting in Freetown this weekend. We welcome the International Obstetrics and Gynecology faculty to our home, that's her residence in Sierra Leone, for a delicious Sierra Leone dinner so that our residents could meet and interact with all of the distinguished OB/GYN faculty from different countries in West Africa. Our 8th final year students, OB/GYN residents, will be spending 6 months, yeah, we'll be spending 6 months at Kolebu hospital. So for those of you who do not know about Kolebu Hospital is the teaching hospital in Ghana. Okay, so Kolebu Hospital is a fantastic hospital in Ghana, top-notch, teaching hospital in the sub-region. Kolebu Hospital in Ghana this year during doing rotations and taking their final West African College of Surgeon residency examination. So for all of us Sierra Leoneans, our wish really should be for all of these 8 resident doctors to pass their exams, because what that will do, or what that will mean, is that for the first time in Sierra Leone, we can boast of 8, gynecological surgeons in the country. That is a big step. It's a big win for everybody. When you go from 0 or from borrowing to 8, it is a success story. And it is something that we should all, put our hands together and hope that it happens for all 8 of them. And then examination. So we also want to make sure then sabi them. Now she's speaking in the local parlance, saying that we also want to make sure then sabi them. Then we residents them, meaning that so that they are familiar with these residents, and that when they get to Kolebu, they will, welcome them with open hands, and they will be treated, fairly. It's like, make sure to watch the second video so you see 2 of our distinguished OBGYN who are currently currently in the faculty of Kolebu, and all of our OB residencies. We don't yet have an OBGYN, West African fellowship in our country, meaning that in Sierra Leone. So they will have to go to another country to do that. But however, she basically said, with, these people, acquiring this education and meeting these goals, then this will definitely chart the path for future residency and for us to start building this type of legacy within the country. She went on to thank, the head of the Department of Perinatology, the specialist Professor Yatunje Ade Niji from Nigeria, who has been leading this work since 2017, our residence program director and urologist, Dr. Gabriel from Ghana, and also Dr. Michael Izinoche as well from Nigeria. She appreciated their service, and me especially, always sitting here talking about the issues, talking about the need, talking about, creating the environment. I would be an hypocrite if I don't also thank the current mayor of Freetown City Council, because the seed money to start this whole venture, to start this whole operation, especially the gynecological units, the school, the residency, the faculty, she made it happen. She made it happen. She used the network and she made it happen for the country. So for all involved, who do not only sit back, but who put in blood, sweat, and tears to push Mama Salone forward, to push our societies, our community forward, I want to say thank you for your work. Thank you for your dedication. Thank you for your commitment, and keep the fire burning. Me famble them on no for say we dey inside the Ramadan month. We the Christians them where we the old fast, like me na so we 6 o'clock come, I go still sit down at the show, they do the show, even though I need for cut fast at 6. But with we Muslim brothers and sisters, them where the time don't reach for make them cut fast, they need for cut them fast and whatever. So because they go by a certain clock or time, whereas with we can stretch it to whenever that time comes that we can cut our break our fast, even though if it has passed the time we need to cut our fast. So in cognizance of that, the show will end a bit early so that I can give my team of producers, technical advisors, technical people the time and space that they need to observe to conduct their religious observation. Until then, I tell una boku boku thank you, una tata. May God bless Mama Salone and may God bless we all.
Papa government, I'm Mamu manja, mamu pema, kushi hinde, abu kuwalo, kushi kwele, abenyeni hundumalo, abu kuli hundumalo, abu wihumalo.
Say that's a cushion. Me brother don't want before you tell me. Say that's a cushion. So we they use the old age man young. Say that's a cushion. We say that's a cushion. Hey, push for die, push for die. We say that's a cushion. Papa government help we are. Say that's a cushion. Hey, push for die, push for die. Say that's a cushion. Hope for you to say.
Me am on the pan. I traumatize. Look, find a boy with the parts. Even need so, but I wouldn't do it. You feel a robot. What time? You are the French goods in a salon. You know like a salon. 43 for Messi. Doctor is a bull. Respect to all aspects. I don't know who's.
Mature. Now where we see for a brighter future. So let me say no to
Sierra Leone, push. You might kill all this is for them. What for you say?
This ain't not a kush. No, not a kush. No, not a kush. Oh yeah, me I can feel them. What are they run me eye? We are the see me sister them. They die in the street. Oh. Me I can feel them when they see me brother them na streets, yeah. Some they link they not, some lay down a guts at the sleep, oh. So when I ask them, tell me say na kush, Nike pull roll and son of them food. They prefer for left the house, they gonna get so all day they kush, oh yeah. Say that's a kush, oh. Me brother don't want before him time. Say that's a kush, oh. So we they use the old age man. That's a cushion. Youth them just stay dry. Say that's a cushion. Sorry, Salone. We say that's a cushion. Hey, push for die, push for die. Say that's a cushion. Papa government help we are. Say that's a cushion. Hey, push for die, push.